obviously after sending your CV and cover letter, then there comes the interview process, or if you fail the CV process, then you have to start over again.
Yes,
Yeah.
and I don't ever be discouraged, because you know you may not get the first one, but it's a learning process. So keep going.
Yeah, well, I think that's what a lot of BNO holders need at the moment, which is some courage, maybe, and some words of support. And I guess a lot of them are also wondering if there's any particular application strategies or interview strategies that they should try and employ during the job hunting process.
Well, if it's application strategies,
we can talk about application first, then maybe.
Yes. Okay. So when you're applying for a job, I think we've talked about, what you need to do as far as getting your CV and your cover letter done, or downloading the application form. If you're looking for how to find a job, then obviously you look in the press, in websites such as Indeed.co.uk. They're all the ones that apply to you, the sort of jobs that you want to find. But networking, I think, is great for finding jobs, really, because the job market in the United Kingdom, not every job is advertised, and sometimes people don't know they need somebody until that person's in front of them. So I think that it's when you come to a different country, you may think, oh, I don't know anyone, how am I going to do this? But obviously, there are going to be quite a number of Hong Kongers coming, and I'm sure they all know each other. And I think it's quite a good idea to get together and share ideas about where they're looking. LinkedIn is a great place to start looking for jobs. And I think having some sort of job strategy, is to actually start by thinking about, well, what sort of companies do I want to work for? And researching the companies, and starting to make a proper plan about, start with maybe 5 companies that I would like to get to work for. Look at them on the website. Go through the information. What sort of people are they hiring? Are there any jobs that are available right now that I can apply for? And go through it like that. Who do I need to get to know? Maybe is the second stage. How do I get to know somebody who works at this company? And then I think LinkedIn is brilliant at that, because you can follow a company. You can find out who works there. You can comment on something that they've posted. Then maybe you build a relationship that way.
So besides LinkedIn, I guess a lot of newcomers to this country would also like to get to know HRs or line managers or hiring managers directly. Besides LinkedIn, would you say there are some other methods that you can
you can send speculative CVs to people, provided that you target somebody, you find out who is the right person to do it. Never send a speculative CV without directly sending it to a named person, such as Miss Anne Haynes, HR manager. And then follow it up with a phone call and say, I hope you don't mind me ringing, but I did send you my CV and I'd be very interested to know what you thought about it.
And I guess people can do this without even having to apply for a job, right? They can
Absolutely.
just send it to HRs and see if they receive something
and say why you're interested in working for that organization. And I think that's probably the way to go forward with it.
I guess being genuine is the one thing that
absolutely. And obviously with Hong Kongers, they have to prove that they have the right to work here, which I'm sure they all do. And that may, that they will have to always make sure they have their documents with them when they go for interview, or if it's asked for. So research is key to finding a job. Research. And make sure you know the companies and find out what is out there. But also, apart from your professional life, there are all sorts of things that people do. They join clubs, they get to know other people, they have professional organizations that they go to, even the church. You start to get to know people in a church, you will probably find someone who knows somebody who might just be the right person to know.
Yeah, I think churches are a great place, actually, even if you're not a believer, I guess. So moving on from the application process, a question that I always get is how I can build a connection with the interviewer quickly. Because I guess there's a bit of a language barrier. Obviously, people do speak English in
Mhm.
Hong Kong, but it's not a native language.
No.
And I hear that a lot of people find it a bit difficult to
Mhm.
connect with interviewers quickly,
Mhm.
and they are afraid that this might affect their chances of a job. So, would you? Are there any tips you can give
Yeah,
them?
I don't think it will affect their chances. I think, as with everything, when you make a friend, the first thing you do is smile at them.
Yeah.
You have a firm handshake.
Mm,
And I think it's important not to be um, made to feel or to feel uncomfortable when you go for an interview, just to
yeah.
consider it's a two-way process, because
Mm,
whilst they're assessing you, you're also assessing them to find out if
yeah.
this really is the right fit for you, because it's your career at
Yeah.
the end of the day. So yeah, I think that's really important, that you actually see it as something that is a two-way process, but just to
Mm,
smile and to make
mm,
the connection. And if you feel that your English or you have difficulty in expressing yourself in a particular way, it's charming to say, I'm sorry, maybe I'm not making myself clear, but this is, let me explain in a little bit more detail, and please question me if you find what I'm saying is not clear enough.
So I guess maybe say their thoughts out loud sometimes.
Yes, absolutely,
Mm,
absolutely. Mm,
because I guess there's, in Hong Kong, it's not that often for
mm,
people to say everything out loud. But
mm.
I think, in interviews, it might help sometimes just to admit your own weakness sometimes.
I I think sometimes, and they will be very sympathetic, because they know you've come from a different environment and things are done differently.
Mm,
But again, I think it's important to be um, happy with who you are, and
yeah,
to smile and give the feeling of warmth and
right,
empathy.
right, right. So, in terms of the interview itself, I
Mhm.
guess it usually lasts around 20 to 30 minutes. Are there any like preparation tips that you can give?
Oh, heavens. I mean, preparation is key to interviews.
Mm,
You can't prepare enough, in my opinion.
mm,
If you're going to go for an interview, you need to know everything about the company that you're going to, first of all. Go on look at the website, download things, underline things that appeal to you or are
yeah.
of interest to you. Look at their corporate social responsibility. What are they doing that's not related to work? Who are their suppliers?
Mm,
Who are they selling to?
mm,
Who is on the board, who are the stakeholders in the company, and what is being said about the company in the press.
mm,
So, what's the share price that day? All these sorts of
right.
things are important to know. And then you start on the people who are going to interview you.
Mm,
Look them up on LinkedIn.
yeah.
Find out, what they're interested in. Sometimes they say, they're interested in such and such outside of work.
Mm,
Maybe you have a common interest that you might be able to just talk about it either at the end or the beginning of the interview.
yeah.
That's another way of, turning it into a more relaxed conversation.
Mm,
Um, and I think the more you know about people and the person who's going to interview, the better the interview process will be.
mm. Um, but what if, let's say, you don't know who the interviewer would be? Um,
Well, there's no reason why you shouldn't ring the company and say, I'm coming for an interview on Friday. Could you tell me who will be interviewing me?
mhm. And I guess most companies would be fine with it, right?
I can't see why they wouldn't want to disclose the name of the person who's interviewing you.
Mm, mm.
I mean, you will have, anyway, surely have received an email saying you will be interviewed on such and such a date, and it will be signed by somebody. So, start with that person who signed the invitation to be interviewed.
Right. I think that's very important,
Mm.
because sometimes I guess people could slack a bit before interviews, and it's very important. I know to
Well, yes, I mean, there's this thing, preparation is key. Prepare to fail if you don't, if you
yeah.
fail to prepare.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Mm.
I heard of this saying before,
Yes.
and I think that rings true in interviews.
Yeah.
Um,
Mm.
yeah. So finally, I know you did touch upon the networking subject a bit
Mm.
before. Uh,
Mhm.
let's say if somebody from Hong Kong wants to blend into, let's say, a professional society,
Mhm.
would you have any particular strategy before going to networking sessions, or do you just try and just be natural? about
I
it?
think that if a lot of the networking sessions are done via Zoom at the moment because
Yeah.
of the pandemic. So if you're a little bit diffident to begin with, listen, go to your first one, introduce yourself, say, this is my first one and I'm looking forward to,
Mhm.
participating, but
Mm.
take your time, don't feel necessary that you have to dive in straight away.
Right.
Maybe get to know one or two people in the breakout session,
Mhm.
and then take it from there.
Mm.
Because that way you'll grow in confidence anyway.
Mm.
You don't
Because I
have
think,
to do it all at once.
yeah, because I think, as you said, a lot of jobs in the UK aren't publicly
Mm,
advertised. So
mhm.
how do people actually tap into like the hidden market, as some people might call it?
Well, I think as I started off by saying that sometimes they don't know they need someone until you're in front of them. So
Right.
you can, as I say, send off some speculative CVs to companies saying why you'd like to work for them,
Mhm.
and see if you can get an interview that way. But always follow it up by making sure that it's arrived, and try
Right.
to make sure you send it to the right person
Mm.
as well. That's important.
Mm.
Um, but I think what else could I suggest is that. Through your professional organizations or for professional affiliations, there may be means of getting to know people in your line of work.
Yeah.
So build those relationships. But, Rome wasn't built in a day, and neither are networking skills. It takes time.
Mm.
And sometimes it can be frustrating when you want to get a job immediately.
Mm.
But looking for a job is also a full-time job.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
I think really it's a process you have to relax into. And if you feel that maybe you're not getting to the job immediately, go out and learn something,
Mm.
take a course,
Mm.
feel that you're connecting, because also the more you do for your own professional development, the better,
Right.
because learning is a lifelong thing that you need to be doing and practicing. So I think that's also another thing, because if you're getting out there and learning a new skill, then you're also meeting people. You're meeting the person who's giving the course as well.
Right.
So,
Right.
even if you go to English language courses or something like that, or,
Mm.
anything that brings you into contact with new people. Sport is also a good way of getting to know
Yeah.
people. So, if you're a keen footballer, go and play football in
Yeah.
Battersea Park or something.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, good stuff, Elise, and thanks for your time
You're most
for
welcome.
the interview. And to my viewers, hope you can find a job, ASAP.
Absolutely. Good luck.
Okay, thank you, Elise. Thank you.
Welcome. Thank you. Bye.